If one is born as a male, at least once in his life, he'll dream of becoming the strongest man alive. Baki is a man who has one goal throughout the series: to surpass his father's strength and defeat his father. That's always been the sole purpose of Baki. Everything else to do with him seems trivial. One thing that I can admire from Baki the Grappler is his intense focus on this one goal, and such focus is just extremely rare in real life. We tend to always spread ourselves thin in society, and all the things that we do in life, being told that we can have it all, and we rarely tend to prioritize one or two things and focus solely on that. But is this the best way to maximize your contribution to the world? This is where the idea of essentialism comes in. It's the idea that by focusing on a few vital things over the trivial many, you can increase your contribution to the world. It's realizing that very few things are essential. It's the pursuit of less to focus on what is important. It's about saying no to the many good opportunities to focus on the one or two amazing opportunities. I think we all agree that if we could do the same amount of work in half the time that's at least the same or higher quality, then we would prefer that. And that is the idea of essentialism. And I really saw that put to play in Baki, because the whole anime is about fighting. There's nothing else really besides fighting in the anime. And Baki's journey to surpass his father's strength. Really, the secret to his dedication and focus is simply that he focuses on one thing, which very few people do. By focusing on one goal or purpose, everything else in Baki revolves around him becoming stronger. So that's why you see him working out, him fighting new opponents like the Yasha ape, and just him doing things like meditation and thoughts, just introspection in general. Even the few times where he cooks in the anime, they always revolve around him becoming stronger and him becoming better, whether it's taking care of his physical health or his mental health. And obviously not everybody has the opportunity to do so, and I realize that in some circumstances it can be extremely hard to focus on one thing, where you may have a passion but you also have to provide for your family, and you have to work as another job, or you have to cook for the family as well. So I understand that there are circumstances where extreme focus is not permitted to the way ideally we want it to be. There's a book called Essentialism by Greg McKeown that I recently read, and in this book he states that almost everything in life is noise. When I first heard this, I didn't really consider what that meant. There are just a lot of things in life that really aren't important if you stop and think about it. I would see people like Hamza talking about not playing video games. I kind of understood it at the time, but I was like, well, if it's something I do sometimes, and I don't see the problem with it. And there's not necessarily a problem with playing video games. Once I started to see things this way, then I could understand why we want to get away from things that aren't necessarily directly related to our purpose or our contribution to the world, like video games, TV. And so when you start to think like this, you realize that you can have extreme focus like Baki. It's simply discerning what is vital. So there's 3 steps to having extreme focus like Baki. So the first thing is to explore. Obviously to find your purpose, you're gonna have to explore a few opportunities to find what you really want to do. I focused on music for a long time, and I still do really enjoy music, but over the past year or so I've really shifted towards my self-improvement, and I realized that I wanted to focus on Nori. I will be adding my music back in later. We're gonna do like some Nori music stuff. That's gonna be cool. But in exploring things like music, I was interested in coding at one point. I was interested in hardware, like PC hardware. Throughout exploring many of those, and eventually me being on self-improvement and fitness, seeing what my body was capable of, that really changed my mindset. And so now I'm focusing on Nori. I found my vital few. Once we find out what is vital to our purpose and what our purpose is, or something that we want to work towards, now everything else is about trimming the fat around that. So everything that is not really conducive towards your growth. Anything that's not directly related towards what is important to you. So I cut out video games, I cut out porn. What I did was try to revolve my life pretty much around the self-improvement lifestyle, because that's what Nori is. So now my activities usually consist of watching anime for the purpose of these videos, like I did with Baki, reading self-improvement books or topics that I'm interested in. I'm reading a book on the way that porn affects the brain. I've taken more time for introspection and just thinking in general, journaling, meditation. That makes the third step, which is executing, effortless, because that's the point of this step, is to remove obstacles and make it easier for you to progress in your purpose or your project. I'll give you an example. So one of my buddies who is finishing up uni, he has about 2 more weeks of coursework, and he messaged me the other day that he was saying that he was just gonna go all in for 2 weeks. So if I didn't hear from him, that's probably why. So he's essentially cut out everything that isn't directly related to him finishing his coursework and doing the best that he can pass his uni. He's prioritized his work, his coursework, and cut out everything else. That is what allows you to have extreme focus. Even before I created this channel, Nori, I knew that these topics that I speak about now were very vital to me. I would often think about masculinity as a whole and talk deeply about lifestyle, social skills, fitness, success mindset with a friend of mine. We would talk. You know, it was something I really looked forward to speaking to him about, and it really brought out passion in me. But that is something I didn't really realize until I started journaling. And so then once I realized, as I was writing in my journal, how much of my thoughts and my mindset was just so related to self-improvement and optimism, the idea came to me to make a self-improvement channel based around anime. And so 3 days later, I had my first video posted. The reason I share this story is because it's a perfect example of how you can realize what is vital in your life. And so once you realize that, you can cut out everything else. It really is just a matter of exploring your options and doing introspection to find that. And that is how you can have extreme focus like Baki and hopefully become the strongest man in the world. That's my video, guys. Have extreme focus like Baki. Believe in me who believes in you. Nori, signing out.